Now let's talk about these automatic chokes. And what can happen with them. On this particular one, this choke was fairly new. Actually, it was new. It was the engine because a choke wire, the hot wire to the choke, was loose on here and fell off, and there was a small fuel leak. The truck caught fire. You can see in the video there's a lot of soot on the truck. What I'm trying to do is just get it running for the individual and show them what happened to it. Now, of course, this is your spring that is cold in one position and warm in another position, and it actuates this lever. Hope you can see that, which actuates the butterfly. But in the first video, you remember I pointed out this, you'll see it's got a quart gasket in it. This quart gasket, vacuum comes in here, and I don't remember if it's metered or unmetered, but vacuum goes in there, goes through this tube and into here where there is a piston. There's a slack rod, and you can see the linkage, and the rod goes into the piston. So the rod, this linkage, this rod does not control the piston, but rather the piston controls the rod, because when there's a vacuum in this chamber, it sucks that piston down, and that overrides the tension of this spring, overrides that tension, and makes the butterfly on top of the carburetor open up. Now, the problem with this particular truck we're working on is that it seemed to have, it did have a small vacuum leak. We plugged off everything and could not find, I couldn't find a vacuum leak anywhere. The brakes, anything that was on the carburetor, the intake that had a vacuum port, I plugged off and proved that they were not leaking. And the only place we have found a leak is that if we blow or vacuum through this hole, it has no effect on that piston. In fact, you can hear it leaking around. So this little area right here was where it was drawing air into it, even though it has a gasket on it. And that's where it's not airtight in here. Well, these shafts go through any of these places right here. A vacuum could suck a leak through. This is, I call this a gasket. It's basically a dust shield, but it went on there like that. But the engine vacuum leak was coming from there into here, and this is where it was drawing the extra air into the carburetor from, and that was the source of the vacuum leak. You're at the position of rebuild this and leave it as an automatic choke, or convert over to a manual choke. This is a vehicle for a student, so I'm going to let them, because they have the funds to do it, to convert to a manual choke, and then later on, if they want to, they can clean this up and rebuild it and convert back to an automatic choke once they've learned and understood more about how the system works.